We are live. And I fact-checked that we are on the closed Facebook group, or they're not on some other group, like Beautiful Table Settings. So they'd be like, what are we doing? Good morning.
Well, good morning.
Good morning. So happy Monday, you guys. And I'm super excited for our guest series. And I was also excited that Dexter Gouger agreed to come on and hang out with us. And so there may be some folks watching or watching later that don't know you. So tell me a little bit about you.
So I have been with KW since 2023.
Okay.
I was a teacher for 8 years before that. Well, I guess 8 years since 2023, 8 years. I taught in North Georgia, coached sports in North Georgia. That was kind of the combo. So did that, special education teacher, and then I taught physics and then honors U.S. history.
Wow.
So,
okay. That's a lot going on. Well, you know what? Jay always says that those that are in the educational field or the medical field make really fantastic real estate agents.
I think it's just a care,
Yeah.
They just care for kids, so you care for people, and you're just dealing with big kids.
Well, that's true. That's very true. Very true. So, gosh, you have closed in volume over $5 million. You started in 2023, new to the industry. And of course, that brought you a six-figure income.
Yeah.
And I know when we talked, and I said, hey, what's a topic that you're passionate about and you want to have a conversation around? And you said sphere of influence. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so in 2023, I came on, and then I was still coaching. I was still teaching. Mm-hmm. I coached and taught all through 2023 and did it on the side. Only just working on like close friends and doing kind of getting my feet up and under me and doing some people. Well, I was blessed to have like a transaction from somebody that knew somebody. Like, so I had a friend who knew a friend. Yeah. And I was like, this is nice because I have somebody who can vouch for me. So like somebody can say, hey, like, listen, they're not crazy. They're actually a good person. And so then I did that transaction. I was like, I like that. I like the fact that I can talk to them and they're going to give me somebody else. We talk about cold calling and everything, and at that point in time, I had no time. So I taught all 2023, and then go to 2024 in January. I was like, I'm going to just make the leap and go full-time. I have to serve out this contract. So in 2024, in May, I went full-time, and I did not make a transaction from January until May of 2024.
Okay, wow. Of 2024.
Yeah, I did not make a transaction, and then literally had these people on a Facebook group where I was just like stalking for a client. They showed up, become really good friends with them, and they made a large land purchase, and they kind of helped me like, okay, I've got at least a little bit of buffer and some time.
Yeah.
And then in June, I started just literally calling or really texting. I think we kind of talked about this beforehand. Like I started just shooting texts to people that I knew, said, hey, I've made this leap full time. I need help.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I think just being transparent, like, hey, I need help because I'm not going to be. And I told them in the text, if I don't have any business, I won't be able to do this. So I need your help, and I'll take care of anybody that you send me. My sister-in-law's mom sent me a client in June. We closed theirs out in July, and then from there, it just rolled. So all of the volume that I had truly from 2024, other than that one early transaction happened from June until December. And it was all people that were not necessarily my sphere, but like a step outside of that, or two steps outside of that they had somebody who could vouch for me kind of deal.
Okay, so your sphere delivered that.
Yes.
You put the charge out to the sphere. You said, I need you guys. They know, love, and trust you. Yeah. And they rallied for you and went and found, and that's the beauty of sphere. It's not always them, it's somebody they know. Yeah.
And
that's fantastic.
I think there are people in your sphere that are referral people.
Okay, tell me what you mean by that.
Well, so I have friends who, whenever they go out to eat, they will never tell me the truth about whether they liked it or not. Oh, it was good, it was fine, it was whatever. They won't tell me the truth.
Okay.
Which I love, they're my friends. But then I have friends who every time they go somewhere good, they tell me about it. Every time they go somewhere bad, they tell me about it. Those are the people that I really kind of like, oh, those are the people I want. Because I know if they say that about a restaurant that they love, how much better will they talk about a friend that they love?
Wow.
So they're referral people. Mm-hmm. I say me and my wife are referral people because if somebody does a good job for me, I'm going to tell everybody I know that they did a good job for me.
Yeah.
And if I can get my sphere, find those referral people in my sphere, that will go refer me to somebody else. And if I can just have 2 or 3 of those that are also referral people, then all of a sudden I'm starting to build a bigger network of those same type of people that are like-minded. That's what I have found helpful for me.
So you had some people that naturally showed up that you saw their behavior somewhere else that you went, aha, I don't have to train these folks. Oh, I have to train them a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I have to give them like the nugget.
Yep.
Do you find any that you think could be, they might have some tendencies that you've trained to become a referral person?
Yeah, and so like people that are in my friend group or even my family or relationships of high school people I haven't talked to for years and years and years. I think
it's only 1 year. Years. Not years and years, okay? Okay.
It's just, I think about those people and I'm like, I think they would probably tell other people if I did a good job.
Yeah.
And those are the people that I try to reach out to, even if I haven't talked to them for a long time. I try to touch base with them because I'm like, if I can get them to do one transaction with me, I trust in like myself to do a good job because I'm just an honest, transparent person, and I'm gonna shoot them straight. And I know if I do that, then they'll refer me out. So I think really what I'm looking for is somebody who you think isn't afraid to tell people if somebody does a good job.
You think they're not afraid to tell people that you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's key for
Yeah.
sure. I like how you've approached that. And before we got started on the air, you mentioned calling and people being afraid to reach out. So let's talk a little bit about that, about what you're doing when you're reaching out to your sphere and the people that know you.
So I got into this, like I said, I never had time for cold calling. Like just with teaching, coaching, there was no time. So that wasn't something I naturally gravitated towards because there is a time demand, right? Like I have friends in the office that they very almost militant, like they have to be here at this time because if they don't set that time aside, they're never going to be able to make the cold calls they need to make to get the leads they need. Yeah. But they're getting them, which is great. But when I first started out, I never had that time schedule I could do that because hey, I had to be at school at 7.
Yeah, pretty early.
I'm not calling anybody before 7 o'clock, not unless I want to have problems. So, and then afterwards, I would have practice until 7. I mean, I was working 12-hour days, and then I would try to manage my practices around when I could do showings and stuff like that. But what I found was when I could just text people I already knew, it was a lot easier for me. And I feel like people are scared sometimes to make the big ask of people you know. But if I'm going to ask anybody anything, why would I not ask people that already know me, right? They already care about me, or else they wouldn't be in my phone to some level, right? Like we know each other. To me, I think there's a little less barrier to entry to farm what's on your phone versus to farm all the numbers out there in the world.
Yeah, like the Zillow numbers and that. Well, you're getting though. People are paying for those to come in, but they're not people that know you, love you, and trust you. So you have to build that first.
Right. And I think too, getting started, it's easier to use friends of friends outside, but really hammer in on who's your phone contacts. Now I'm to a point now, obviously, I'm getting random people wherever. It's just as you're in business, that happens. Like people either read your Google review or they find you on something, but that still for me is my source of my main income, my main focus is still the people that I have in that phone contact. I have 17,800 people, or not 1,780 people. Jeez, added a 0. So 1,780 in my phone. Okay. So for me, what I did was I looked at those, and I don't know if you remember this, when we used to pick up phones, did you ever lose a phone 10, 15 years ago and have to get a new one?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I did that 2 or 3 times. Yeah. And then you sent that message or whatever, you ask anybody, does anybody have a phone I can have or whatever? So I've picked up contacts from doing that 2 or 3 times. So I had to go through and be like, out of these 1,700 people, I don't know all of them. So I worked it down, and I got to about 800 people that I have spoken to in the past 7 years. Okay. So I took those people, and those are the people that I really use as my sphere. And out of those people, I try to just find the people who are my referral. And I'm like, I'll just focus on these right now, Because out of those people, I figure if they have 800 people in their contact too that they've talked to. Yeah. I mean, all I need them to refer me is 1 a year. If they could do that, then
big deal.
I know, right?
So I heard big ask.
Yeah.
I heard that phrase. I liked that. The barrier of entry is low when you reach out. I like how you went through the contacts and you categorized them, and you got rid of some of them. I heard.
lot, yeah.
And 800 people is a pretty nice. I know you know me met
Yeah,
database for you to work the numbers on.
for sure.
So out of that, I feel like that's some core people. Out of the 800, how many do you think are your rock solid refer category?
Like right now, I have 25 that I'm like, and here's how I kind of judge it too. I have 25 people that if I ask them what are good restaurants around town, they'll give me their opinion. And it won't just be one, it'll be multiple, right? And I'm like, oh, well, they're going to tell me what they like, what they don't like. So I assume that when somebody asks for a realtor, they're going to immediately be like, yeah, Dexter, he did a great job with me, and just go to bat for me. That's what I want. I want people who are going to go to bat for me. Not that we need that as agents. Like, we should just be somebody who's respectable, dependable, honest, trustworthy, all those things. But I feel like if you are that kind of person and you run your business that way, then people are going to say, hey, look, you need to take a chance with them. I know you don't know them, but you need to take a chance with them.
I like that. I had some agents, and this has been some years ago, that were afraid of door knocking or getting out and asking. And I was like, well, a simple way, it's just really the same thing that the way you're looking at it. You know, if you ask someone that comes to the door, hey, do you have a plumber that you recommend? If they say yes. Do you have an electrician? Yes. Well, do you have a realtor that's on that list? And they might say yes, but they also might say no. Mm-hmm. And you could say, well, I would love to interview for that spot.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to be that spot. Now, that's a cold call kind of way to get it. And you've done the same thing with the people that already know and love you. I just need you to refer me like you're giving the restaurant list.
Yeah,
the goods and the bad, right? I'm going to be on the good list. So that's very smart, and it served you very well in building your business.
Yeah. It's been really good. In the same vein, like this year, I've found that those people that maybe didn't have anything for me last year have started this year pretty strong. So for me, it's a long term. It's like the long haul, right? Like sports analogy. I think of it more of a baseball game, right? Like, I don't need to have everybody that I text send me all the referrals in the first inning. Like, down the stretch, they're going to send me something, and maybe not this year, next year, the year after, but 3 years from now, how much better off are they going to be? Because these people, in your mind, like how they operate their life and who they're around, and then you just think about that down the road. Now, I'm not saying like every friendship you make, think like with real estate in mind, but you do have to think a little bit like strategically, like, okay, like I like these people. How can I show them that I will do a good job? Like without like being sleazy, to be honest, like just being creepy, like a realtor, like, hey, you got anybody you can refer me? But like just being a good friend. And I feel like being a good friend, being a good person, and showing them you care about them is huge, because if you do that for them, then they know you'll do that in your business too.
Right, they'll know they can trust you, that you're going to show up that way. Yeah. That's your core values.
Yeah, and you have to build that. In every relationship that you have. But if you're intentional about building it, then it makes you easily referable, which is ideal.
Well, I enjoyed. I know you've said yes to the opportunity to being a leader for KW with the Agent Voice on the Agent Leadership Council for 2025, and super excited about that. And all of listening to you guys talk about leading the office was very inspiring. So I feel like it's perfect that you're here today. So our agent body, because there may be some like yourself that were working other roles, they're dual career, and they're not able to come in and plug in.
Yeah.
Like, I knew you were working, but I'd see you. I'd see you pop in.
Yeah.
I knew you were out there busy, and I was like, look at him. He's working another job, and he's making it happen. So do you have any advice for those that may be out there right now? They may not be in the same industry that you were in, but they're out there and they're working. They're just trying to make that transition from one career to another.
Yeah, so it's hard. Number one, like what you're doing is hard. Doing 2 careers, running everywhere. I mean, I'm sure there's nights where you get home 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, multiple nights because you have to do showings after work. Like that is part of it. It will pay off so much more and be so much more rewarding when you do get to go full time. I would say the best practices to get yourself in a place is don't spend your checks. Build a basis so that you can take the leap. Because I feel as if when you go from that career, and most people that are dual career in real estate do have a W-2 job, and then we're jumping right into a sales job. So building a background or at least a stockpile of money to say, okay, I can do this with it for the next X amount of months will allow you to make that leap. But then I think once you do it, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, understand, like, you're going to have to, that database, like, for me, it's uncomfortable for me to text or call people I haven't talked to in years. Now, I know they know me. I know they know me well, but it's still uncomfortable.
How did you get past that the first time that you did that? Like, what did you go through in your thought process?
I typed out one message, and I sent it to a bunch of people at one time.
Okay.
I felt as if I sent it to one person, I would focus on, oh, what are they going to say? But if I send it to 50 people at one time, then either they're all going to ignore it, or at least I'll know the people who care enough to text back, and it won't be embarrassing if I'm 0 for 1. You know, if I text, I don't know, just random names, if I text James one time and he never texts me back, then I'm going to feel defeated. But what I did was I went on my MacBook and I basically started the message to like 50 people and copy and pasted it to all 50 and sent it. Because I was like, out of these 50, surely I'll get one.
And that was a text message?
Yes, and if I got one, I would feel good. Like, I was like, okay, well, if I get one, then, all right, I'm 1 for 50. And it's not just a cold call, it's a 1 for 50 on people that, like, I know to some extent.
They were in the 800.
Correct,
okay.
Yeah. So that's my suggestion, is just make the jump, but make a big jump instead of a little jump. Because if you're going to fail big. You know, and plus, if you cast that many lines, you're going to catch fish. It's just, it takes putting them all out there.
Yeah, and then just doing it.
Yeah, just send it, and then, like I said, out of the 50. Now, for me, out of the 50, I had 25, or I think it was 20 or 25 that messaged me back, and it wasn't about. It was, hey, I have, hey, I don't know if you noticed, I've started a career in real estate. I would love to. What I said was, I would love to get together at some point and just talk about my plans and how you could help me potentially start this business or continue to grow my business. Are you open to that? Now, I did have to pay for 20 coffees, but it's worth it to make those connections. And then, but once you do it the first time with those people, that's the hard part too. Is right now, out of that 800, I have like a touch base, just working through them and touching base every so often. But out of those 20 people or 25 people that got back to me, like, then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I got to kind of be intentional with these people. They cared enough to message me back. I need to care enough to, like, foster their time well and see what they actually could bring to the table for me. So it was good.
So you sent the 50 out. You got 25 responses, and you had 20 coffees.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It's brutal. we were caffeinated, because what I would do because I'm from Marion County.
Okay.
There's one coffee shop over there, so I just, for a couple of days, I had to just camp there, and would get them to come meet me there, and then some of them, or a decent amount of them, were teachers, so I would go on their planning to their school.
Oh, so you go where they were.
If they could meet, because not everybody has a flexible job, so if they had a teaching style job, I would just go to the school and meet with them.
What a fantastic, I feel like that was such a huge win.
It was great.
To have that many face-to-face meetings with people from your database.
Yeah. And I think everybody can do that.
Yeah.
I 100% believe everybody can do it.
So it sounded like you did it. You cast the net, then all of a sudden a lot of fish were in the net, and then you were like, this is messy for a minute. Right, it's messy for a minute, and now I've got to pivot and figure out how to make sure I don't let the people down that responded.
Right, and that's the part too, is for anybody getting into real estate, you're going to drop the ball. You're going to drop the ball. Like, especially when you first get started, there's going to be somebody that messages you and says, hey, I want to buy, for me, I have a big hunting community. That's what I like to do. So, like, my ball drop, I still think about this guy. He said, hey, I want to buy 30 acres. Well, we went and looked at probably 10, and we didn't find anything he liked. But then, I had so many people I was trying to juggle at that time. Like, he just slipped through the fingers. Now we're 2 years back, I have touched base with him again and been like, hey man, are you still looking? I'm sorry. And I just think there's a level of extreme ownership you have to have.
Okay.
Like I said, hey man, I'm sorry. I got really busy. Are you interested in buying land? I didn't forget about you. I got really busy with people who had to have a house or had to have something right then. But I'm still thinking about you. I want you to know, like, I still care. And I sent that text to him. And he messaged me back, and he had already found some land on his own, which is fine. That's fine. But I needed him to know that I knew that I messed up. And I think it's important when you first get in to understand you're going to drop the ball somewhere. But it's just get back on the horse and keep going.
Yeah, and you valued them in your database.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I think you're also, you're going to get hurt at some point when
Yeah.
somebody goes and buys a for sale by owner without you, and then you're on the phone and you go, oh, like that moment when you realize they did something with someone else or
Yep.
another agent, and just loving them anyway, and owning the ball drop, like you said.
Yeah.
I like that, 100% ownership.
And I think that I have found everybody getting started in real estate, you're going to get hurt because somebody close to you is going to buy from somebody else that's not as close to them. But some people like to have the arm length of, like, they don't want you to know their finances and stuff, and that's okay. But what I've found is with those people, if you can just reach out to them and you don't even have to ask, like, hey, what could I do to get your business next time? But just say something along the lines, I've asked, hey, have you already found a home? I know you're using so-and-so for that home, but as my friend, I would love to help you find another home and work with he, she, whoever it is, to help you find a home, because I know, like, you're in my Bible study, or you're in my church, or you're in my rec team, you're in whatever I like to do, we're involved, so it would be cool if we could live close together. Just create a conversation there to say, hey, I noticed that you went some other direction, I respect that, but is there any other way that I can help you? Well, again, it's kind of like being that trustworthy person, because you're not trying to poach, you're not trying to do anything, but as a friend, because they're already one of your close friends, which it'll happen, just letting them know that you actually care, because I find that that's different.
Yeah, and I think people, they want to avoid you if they think that you're going to be disappointed in them.
Right, yeah.
Right, so you're letting them off the hook.
Yeah, just lean into it. Like, there's one person I said, don't be awkward, because I'm kind of straightforward. So I said, don't be awkward around me. I know you want to do somebody else, and that's fine. Like, I don't care. We can still go to dinner next week. It's not weird unless you make it weird. So I think that, again, there is a level of ownership for you as well, because you have to own up to the fact that not everybody's going to want to use you. Just because they're your best friend or, a friend of a close friend doesn't mean they'll use you. And it's not necessarily anything against you. It's usually a privacy thing. So, just don't wear your feelings on your shoulders when you first get started.
Well, I love that you've said if it hasn't happened, it's going to.
Oh, yeah.
It's inevitable that that's going to happen, and how you move forward through it.
Yeah, and
that's not easy.
It can be good if you let it be good.
It can be good if you let it be good.
Yep.
Yeah. So going back to you working dual career and all that, the big schedule that you had, you were surrounded by Sphere. What did it look like for you to be intentional for the week? I know you had your plans for your lesson plans, right?
Yeah.
And that's another thing I think that's a great transferable skill for someone that's in education, is you have to be people-y and you love people, but you have to be planned and you have to be scheduled. So how did that translate into doing real estate? What did your week look like, and how did you set it up?
Not great. So, since I was coaching and teaching at the same time, there was this level of, and I think anybody that does watch this, that is doing a career, they'll understand. There's a level of, this stinks, like every day. And you'll feel like, okay, something's got to give. But I think you have to just weigh, like, what's most important to you and what benefits your family most, right? Because real estate will provide you time freedom and can provide you financial freedom. If you go get it. But my week would look like, I would come in on Sunday. I really just had no weekend. I would make sure anybody that wanted to buy that wasn't urgent, I would schedule them Saturday, Sunday. I would go to church in the morning. I would intentionally go to the earliest service so I could go with them whenever they wanted. So sacrificing that. And then my wife also works at her church. So, like, she would still be there until, lunch or whatever. But, so sacrificing my weekends. And then I would have school 7 to 3:30, and then I would coach until 5 or 6. Now, I will say, there were some days practice got cut short because the kids did really good, but really had showing.
Yeah.
So you had to kind of like move some things around. But I think the biggest thing is being flexible and just understanding it'll be rough. But if this is what you want to do, you need to get to a place where you can kind of create your own freedom, like in your schedule. Like understand, like, okay, these hobbies that I like to do, like I'm gonna have to tweak those and move those. So like for me, again, I'm a big hunter. So in 2023, that the Q4, so October, November, December. Ever since I got into real estate, people are like, oh yeah, fourth quarter's kind of hard, whatever. Every year since I've been in real estate, my fourth quarter is my biggest months.
Okay. And so what caused that?
I think I have a hobby that I like to do. So the Lord's like, here, just take all these people on. No, that's what I feel like. I'm like, just want to go hunt. So what happened was, I think I had to be more intentional. I think it forces me because my hobby does take up October, November, December. That's when I like to go hunt. If you like to rock climb, like obviously your warmer months. If you're a boater, it's going to be June, July, August, right? Like whatever that window is, for you to be able to do what you like to do, you really need to be intentional about the time that you have. So what happened with me was in October, November, December, I plan out, okay, well, if I want to go do what I want to do, I'll have until 11 a.m. And then after 11 a.m., I have to hustle to make sure that I can do this. Now, when I was teaching and coaching, I had to move that back and move some things around. But because I wanted to do those things, I would make myself very uncomfortable in doing showings late into the night. I showed 3 or 4 houses that were going shows like 10 p.m. and I had to go get like a one-time code from Super because it locks at I think 9.
Right.
I had to get but if they were game to do it, I didn't have time the rest of the week because I was working and we just did it. I think that the reason why my Q4s have been more productive is probably because I have to be more disciplined because I want to go do the hobbies that I like. But to do that, you really have to make sure the time that you have outside of that, you have to get the work done and have to be intentional. Because
you're extremely focused on your calendar.
You have to.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. Again, if anybody hasn't had this yet, and you're not full time, when you do go full time, you can lose a day. You can lose a day, even no matter how intentional you are. You can lose a day and be like, what did I do today? I talked to other agents in the office for 4 hours and sent 10 emails, and then it's like, but what did I really do today? So I found for me that Q4 is when I'm like, hey, I got to get in, get out. I know what I need to do, and I got to get out of there because if I don't do these things in these time periods, I can't go do what I want to do. Okay.
Well, I love that. I mean, that is, it sounds like you evaluate all the things you filter through. What did I do today? What actually was productive? And, I heard some things from you like freedom to do what you love.
Yeah.
Also that financial freedom as well.
Yeah.
Is that what drives you?
I think being able to make my family comfortable is what drives me. Coming from where I grew up, teenage parents, we wouldn't make it if my grandparents didn't give us money. So for me, it's not a financial freedom because I believe, again, my personal beliefs, the Lord will bring me money as long as I steward it well and continue to do the right things. Those things they're going to come, and they may go. But if I can what drives me is bulletproofing my business a little bit. Mm-hmm. So for me, that looks like being financially really responsible with, yes, you can create a 6-figure income by using that phone. And just the people on your contact list, you can create a 6-figure income. But the deal is, just because you have a 6-figure income doesn't mean you need to live a 6-figure life. Because of our business, the way it is, it ebbs and flows. Yes, you can continue to make more business, but living below your means, for me, my driving factor is stretching that out to see how far I can provide cushion for my family while also being able to financially give to other people. That's probably my biggest thing. And we don't have kids yet. We're trying for kids, but to be able to say, hey, everything that I want to do for my kids, I have, because I didn't spend it as I made it. So for me, my drive is just continuing that success. I like very success-driven person, goal-oriented as far as my own personal goals, reaching those goals. So those things drive me to just stay after it.
Well, it has been a delight to just chat with
Yeah.
you and learn what drives you, how you've worked through some of those times where you've burnt the candle at both ends. We are super excited to have you on the leadership team for the agents this year. And I know, y'all give some love, drop some comments if you have any questions. And just thank you so much for spending time with me and being willing to come in here and put this on your calendar.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
It was
appreciate
fun.
that. All right, you guys, have a great week and go find the money in the banana stand.